Okay, apologize in advance again for the noise outside. I'm here in my garage. Oh, gosh, good Lord, it's been a while since I've made an update to this series, I guess you could call it, video, having to do with Thermite. I have been planning, it's been over a year now, to do a demonstration a bit larger than I had been playing around with. Over this course of time, I've been pondering this quite a bit, coming up with plans. One of them is to make something a bit more reliable and a bit more safe to ignite the stuff. Oh yeah, you could just get out there with a torch and blow it on the mixture, the thermite mixture, and yeah, you can get it to go, but it's rather abrupt and not convenient, especially if there's wind or, it's just not an option by my thinking. I've been using magnesium ribbon to ignite it. That works well, but it's not without its caveats. One of them being that the melt point of magnesium ribbon is about the same as its ignite point. It is so close that sometimes what will happen is that you put your torch on the end of the ribbon, your fuse, and it melts and ignites and then drops down, which immediately ignites the thermite mixture or begins that reaction, and that's just not acceptable. I've been doing small amounts at a time. I don't even think I've gotten up to 1 pound of the mixture. Usually about 8 ounces or less. I think there was one where I did approach a pound of it, which is not innocuous. There's danger there, even given a clear route of getting away from it. So, and the inconvenience of having to use a torch. I'd rather not have a tank full of compressed flammable gas with me. Just not terribly comfortable with that. So, what to do? I've been playing around with this for some time, and look, of course, you look around online, see what other folks are doing. What's cheap, what's dirty, what works, what don't, and what is safe. I think this is going to be, pardon my sitting down here, as pretty close as I'm going to get to safe without really remote ignition. I want something that's going to be where I can, me and my loved ones, at least, could be comfortable around it. So, of course, igniting the thermite requires quite a bit of heat. Getting that reaction started, quite a bit of heat. I have successfully ignited thermite just using these toy sparklers, but that's not reliable. These do get hot enough, but just barely. Not your best option. The thing about these, though, is they're predictable, fairly predictable in their burn rate, and so you have you have more control over what happens. So I'll just pull one of these out. The rest of these, stack in the box. These are rather small ones. I guess this is maybe 5 inches of material, very thin iron wire. These also they're tipped with something that is much more easily ignitable from a cigarette lighter or even a match, although you have some trouble with that. But the old school of these, they didn't have this tip on there, and so it took quite a bit of flame to get one of these ignited. And the larger, the fatter they are, the more difficult that becomes. So these have a tip on them that enable them to be lit fairly easily, which is an advantage here. I want to be able to ignite thermite just using a cigarette lighter. I have one, but it's not handy. Anyway, and as it is that these are not reliably hot enough to ignite the thermite, but the magnesium ribbon is. But the magnesium ribbon has it's got hazards associated with it. That's what's in here. This is it's got some desiccant in there to keep the air moisture out, or at least eat it up when it gets in there, because that corrodes magnesium. And while this is a coil of it, purchased online, it's relatively cheap. No problem getting it. I believe this came from China. Not a big fan of stuff from China as a rule, but yeah, this is as advertised, so we'll give them kudos for that. I don't know what the exact thickness of this is. It's written here, but it's in Chinese and I can't read it. I don't want to peel off, it's about 4 inches or so, 3 maybe. It's not critical. This stuff, it's somewhat ductile. It's bendy, but at the same time it has its limitations. I'm not going to need cutters to break a piece off here. I'm just going to put a tight, very tight bend in it, and off she goes. So there's our strip we'll be using, and this coil, back in the bag, back in the can. And looking at this desiccator, that needs to be recharged. So another thing in the list of to-do. I'm gonna just flatten the ends of this so it's just a nice straight piece of magnesium ribbon. That's what's gonna be ignited by this, and this will ignite the thermite. Now, I have wrapped the magnesium ribbon directly around the sparklers. Not a good idea. This stuff is quite fragile. It's crumbly. If you bend this at all, or put any stress on it at all, it just falls off of the wire and you're done. You can make it work that way in a pinch, but I don't recommend it. That's what this is for. Depending on the diameter, outside diameter of this, pick something that's close to it. If you got a big fat one, use a fatter shank screwdriver. It's just a round shank screwdriver. And all I'm going to do is form this around helically, sort of like a screw around this shaft. No trick to it. And this, well, The piece I picked off, I think it was about 4 inches long. So with this diameter driver, yeah, yields about an inch or so. A helix of magnesium ribbon. And that just slips over the sparkler. Now, leave a little bit down the bottom. It gets a little thin down there. So leave a little of that there. And some space above. That's your fuse. That's your time for you to get away from it. Now notice this is a little loose. Your mileage may vary. If your screwdriver shank is a bit smaller, this might fit on there with enough of a friction fit to hold it in place. As it is, this is kind of loose, so that's what the needle nose are for. Just grab it down the bottom, give it a pinch. It might crumble some of the stuff here, don't worry about it. So there you have it. There's a fuse. In use, you light the tip. You'll have time as this burns down. The sparks that come from these sparklers are not anywhere near enough to ignite thermite. It might be a little scary. You see the sparks coming down onto your pile of thermite, but that's not anywhere near hot enough to ignite it. Do be careful. Don't take my word as gospel. But it's a pretty safe bet. But once you get this lit, get away. And then, of course, what will happen is this will burn down. The burning of these sparklers is hot enough to ignite the magnesium ribbon here. Once that happens, magnesium by itself burning is not very violent, but in combination with whatever the material is in these sparklers, once this magnesium gets burning, I suppose because of the excessive heat, it causes this whole bit of this material to suddenly ignite and burn. So this goes fairly quickly. Once it gets to magnesium ribbon lit. In use, to ignite the thermite, you would put this down. You may have to cut the bottom off depending on the depth of your container. You would want the thermite to come up to about halfway of your helix here. In this case, this one's about an inch long. Your mileage may vary. It depends on what you're using. Your thermite mixture you're using. I will describe in detail more about that once I get actually set some off, the big stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and light this. I left my lighter indoors, so I'm going to have to go get that, cut this off and stitch it. And make sure that the camera's adequately focused upon this test. Now, yes, I've used this, variations of it. This simple arrangement is very reliable by my experience. So I'll get my lighter and we'll get this done. See you in a bit. Okay. Got my CD lighter and gonna light this now. The lighting in here is pretty good. It's not daylight. Well, it's daylight outside, but got about 1,000 watts of incandescence going in here. So, but nevertheless, you should be able to see without the camera becoming overloaded with the brightness. This sparkler burning as they normally do. But once this magnesium gets going, I'm pretty sure that's going to overload the camera, the optics, and it's going to put lovely purple vertical lines on the image. So just be aware of that. But this is not going to make much noise. But do notice that once this magnesium begins to burn, it becomes fairly vigorous, and so you want, if you're trying to use this to ignite the thermite, you want the thermite to be about halfway up this, in this case, 1 inch length of magnesium helix wound around this sparkler. So here we go. Yeah, just regular sparkler kind of glow. Nothing special. And it's just about getting down to where the magnesium is. It might seem like it's going out. Nope. Definitely that was hot enough to ignite thermite, and in my experience it does very reliably. So that's going to be what I'm going to use for the big burn, which will be something about 5 pounds, and maybe a little bit more than that. We'll see. So that's the plan. See ya.